In today's video, I'm going to be providing you guys with a few different ways to manipulate your appetite towards either satiate when your calories are low during a cutting phase or towards stimulate when calories are high during a bulking phase, and how these manipulations will make either experience more tolerable. If you are unsure about whether you should be cutting or bulking or even main gaining for that matter, I'm going to put a video up in the corner that'll help you decide which step to take next. Once you've decided what goal you want to achieve, the only way to ensure the results you'd like to see is just to simply stick to a plan. Even if you have the perfect, most optimal plan that's better than all plans on this planet, which is impossible to determine, you will not see the results you're after if you just can't follow the plan. So whether that is eating too many calories during a cutting phase because your hunger is out of control, or on the opposite end, not eating enough calories during a bulk because your appetite is too suppressed, there are ways, which I'm going to walk through in this video, to make both a calorie deficit or a surplus more tolerable if you implement the things that I'm about to go into. Throughout this video, I'm going to be demonstrating the appetite on a spectrum, and the manipulations you can make will shift your appetite to make either experience more tolerable, whether that is towards satiated to help you with a calorie deficit or stimulated to help you with a calorie surplus. The middle area of the spectrum is where one's appetite would fall if they are eating at maintenance calories, where the experiences of extreme hunger or fullness just won't exist as things are regulated properly since calories aren't excessively high or low. The first manipulation I'll get into is manipulating your macros. Between proteins, carbs, and fats, proteins are the most satiating macronutrient and carbs are the least satiating, so we can use that to our advantage. So before you make any macro changes to your diet as a whole, there are a few things we can do with the food that's sitting in front of you. So you're going to start off eating either the proteins or the carbs depending on the goal. So like I said, proteins are more satiating. So if you eat the protein first, your appetite will decrease. But on the other hand, if you eat the carbs first, your appetite will increase. So if your calories are low, you'd want to eat the protein first, as you'll be less likely to feel unsatisfied once the meal is finished. But if calories are high, you want to eat the carbs first, so your appetite isn't blunted before the meal is finished. So when making changes to the macros of your diet, more protein and less carbs will be the way to go when you're doing a cut. Mainly because one, when it comes to low calorie and creating caloric deficit, cutting calories will inevitably come from your carbohydrates. And then besides helping satiate your appetite, increased protein during a cut also makes sense because you want to preserve as much muscle mass as possible. But then when it comes to increasing your calories on a bulk, flipping the way that we'll distribute these macros makes sense because one, carbs are the easiest to eat mass amounts of, and that's helpful when you're just shoving food down your gullet. And then less protein during a bulk can make sense because carbs function as a protein spare. So when carbs are high, you can get away with less protein while maintaining your muscle mass. The second manipulation you can make is regarding your water intake. Filling the stomach up with water is going to satiate you more, so you can use this to your advantage or have it work against you. If you're going to have a big meal when you're in a calorie surplus, you don't want to also be chugging down a bunch of water just because that's going to fill your stomach up more and make it harder to eat the food. But on the other hand, if your caloric intake is low for a meal, filling it up with water can kind of trick your stomach into thinking that you ate more food. The third manipulation you can make is what you're doing with your fruits and whether you're going to eat whole fruits or fruit juices. Whole fruits are relatively high volume and low calorie, and they will help you satiate your appetite. And then if you switch the fruits to fruit juices, those are very calorically dense, as well as they also stimulate your appetite themselves. If you were to wake up in the morning and have a glass of orange juice versus a big orange, the outcomes in your appetite are going to be vastly different, as the glass of orange juice will stimulate your appetite and the big orange will likely satiate it. The fourth manipulation you can make is what you're doing with your protein sources. Large cuts of steaks, breasts, or fillets are the way to go for a low-calorie plan because these big cuts, they take longer to chew, and that can kind of like trick your brain into thinking that you're eating more food because you're spending more time chewing. Ground meats make a high-calorie plan much easier to follow because there's less chewing required, letting you eat more before your body signals that it's full. So each of those manipulations was where you could shift it towards either way depending on what you did with the manipulation. But now I'm going to give you a few different things if you need extra help satiating your appetite. And I kind of alluded to this already, but just simply chewing your food longer will help you satiate your appetite, as the longer spent time chewing can trick you into think you're eating more food. And then the second thing you can do to help you satiate your appetite is to simply be present when you're eating the meal. If you are sitting there watching YouTube, as the vast majority of people are doing when they're eating meals, or like distracted in any sort of way, if you are distracted when eating your meal, before you know it, the meal will be gone. You'll be like, oh shit, like I didn't even know that I ate that meal. Compared to if you sat down, the only thing in front of you was your meal, you took slow breaths, and you just took in every bite and were conscious of what you're doing, that will make you feel like you ate way more food compared to if you were just mindlessly just throwing food down. And then some extra things to do for stimulating your appetite is to implement walking after your meals. This comes straight out of the book of Stan Efferding's Vertical Diet, and this will, one, improve your digestion, which if your digestion gets out of whack, eating a shit ton of calories is the worst thing that you can do for it. So one, it'll improve your digestion, and then it'll help you regulate your blood sugar so you don't have crazy spikes in energy levels throughout the day. And then another thing that you can do to stimulate your appetite is to add in small amounts of highly palatable foods, whether that's like junk food, which would be like a Dorito. If you ate a meal and then you're going to eat another meal in 2 hours, if you ate one Dorito in between those two meals, I will guarantee you by the time that second meal comes, you're going to be hungry. Another example of a highly palatable food that isn't like a junk food, which would be honey. If you were to throw honey on top of your rice or potatoes, it's going to make that shit taste a lot better, and you're going to be able to eat a lot more of it. As you get closer towards the extreme ends of cutting or bulking, there is going to be some suffering involved. The bigger the goals, the more sacrifice you're going to have to make. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But if you have goals similar to what the majority of people strive for, which I would consider reasonable or more realistic goals of looking lean and healthy, and aren't making a living off of your physique, you shouldn't have any issues with extreme levels of hunger or fullness on a daily basis. You shouldn't. But if you have aspirations to be Mr. Olympia, these manipulations can help you, but regardless, there is going to be a point where you're going to do some shit that you don't want to do. If you found the information within this video useful, give this video a like, subscribe to this channel, and share this with someone who may be struggling with these experiences of bulking or cutting. The information within this video is only a small piece of the Potent Priorities ebook that I put together, which I consider like the ultimate guidebook to gains. It gives you 4 foundations where you need to be putting the majority of your efforts into to achieve your like goal or dream physique as fast as possible, but also making the experience as best as you can, and manipulating your appetite to make either the bulking or cutting experiences more tolerable is definitely one of them, but it's only a small fraction of what's included within the book. It starts off with super basic foundational things that you need to put your efforts into, but once you can nail the foundations, then you can take smaller steps to get more meticulous about your plan. If you're interested in anything else I made in the name of just getting you fucking yacked, you can head to my website at evolutionaryaesthetics.com. On there I've got some free workout programs for you to follow with corresponding YouTube videos where I give a complete breakdown of the goals of the program, how you're going to do the program to get the most bang for your buck. And then if you subscribe to my weekly newsletter, which it's included within my progression programming, we are following a current program where each week I give you ideas to help that current program progress as efficiently as possible. Thanks for watching, and we'll see each other in the next video.